Mr. Knopp, how about you?
Very good, Mr. Chairman. This is kind of an interesting meeting we have today, and I'd like to start it off with a little round of congratulations for everyone. 2 weeks ago, the final draft Delta plan was released after 2 years of hard work from council members, from the staff, and from our consultants. I think a stellar product has been released, and we're all very proud of it. So congratulations to all for that accomplishment. A couple of things I'd like to update you on is, first, we do have a couple of positions, as I told you at the last meeting, that are still open for planning, leadership, and scientific leadership on the council. Those are, I believe we have applications for that. We have a total of 12 applications for both the jobs. We'll be looking to do interviews in early January, and we should have a selection, at least an idea among ourselves who the candidate is. I'm not sure how long the process of actually making the offer is going to take, but we're looking forward to having those positions filled pretty quickly. A couple other things. One of the big things that we've been working on came out in part from our discussions at the last council meeting, and was the implementation committee. And during that time, we have gone through a fairly detailed process of talking to folks, setting up an agenda of what we thought would be the appropriate roles and duties of an implementation committee. And just to bring you back into some context on this, remember that when we move from building a plan to plan implementation, the council's roles and a lot of the staff's roles do a pretty significant change. What happens is we go from building a plan to now implementing that plan and dealing with covered actions. The council becomes an appellant body. We have a role of coordinating other agencies. And then we have a role of science, delivering best available science and an adaptive management program. So the roles of the council are going through a fairly important shift. And it's beginning right now, and it'll be completed, we believe, when the plan is finally fully adopted and becomes law in July. So it's a fairly short timeline that we're on to make this fairly important change. We've had a preliminary meeting with Department of Fish and Game, Department of Water Resources, and conversations with others to talk about the implementation committee and how that might function. So far, we've had very positive responses, very cooperative, I would say, attitudes from others. And I think the key question that we keep hearing is, will the council add value? Are we going to be recreating a committee or a group that just meets for the sake of meeting? And the answer is absolutely not. Our purpose is to get work done and to facilitate that work being accomplished. It's also to facilitate the implementation and the achievement of an effective adaptive management program. So I think together, the implementation committee can serve a very effective role, and the council is likely to be at the center of that role. And we'll see how that evolves. It's still in an early formative stage. Lastly, I wanted to share a few thoughts with you since I am new to the water world, and one of the pleasures I got to enjoy last week was attending the Aqua Conference and the CFE Conference. And Phil had asked me to share some thoughts on that. And I have to tell you that I was very impressed with both meetings. A tremendous cross-section of folks, mainly from the water supply side of business, were there. But the conversation at both meetings was pretty much dominated by the Delta and Delta problems and how to resolve those problems. I was impressed by the attitude of everyone, which was largely, I think we've talked about this enough. It's time to solve some problems. It's time to make something happen and go forward. And I think that falls so much in line with the council's perspective as well, that it was a fun meeting to attend, and it was exciting to hear the enthusiasm of others, that hopefully we have a structure in place that we can actually see some progress now. With that, I'm going to stop.
Okay. Mr. Fiorini?
I was present at the Aqua Conference as well, and I had the opportunity to observe Chris on a panel discussing the Delta issues. And he coined a phrase that I think all of you who have been following this process will appreciate. He described where we have been for the last 2.5 years is in the parking lot of planning. And he suggested that we're about to launch into implementation. I like that. I thought that was very insightful.
The visualization of driving out a parking lot to a congested freeway strikes me, but perhaps that's not appropriate.
At least we're not running out on the
Yes,
freeway.
right. Anyone? Yes, Ms. Gray.
Just to comment, just even on that statement about parking lot of planning, what I envisioned was lots of cars in the parking lot while we're doing the planning, which is actually what happened. But I wanted to comment on the implementation committee. I was glad to hear your report. What struck me as being very helpful and encouraging is the fact that your contact with the different agencies, that they seem to be interested and excited, especially the fact that it will add value to what we do with the council. So thank you for the report. Look forward to that particular process, because you're right, it is correct. And the Stewardship Council will move to another level after the plan is approved. And congratulations again to you and your staff for this wonderful draft plan. Well, it's a plan now, right? That we have put out. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else? All right.